Leeds United made the most of their second chance in the European Cup against Stuttgart, the team they say has more foreign reserves than the Bank of England. Leeds won 2-1 in Barcelona in front of a tiny crowd. Their hero was Carl Schutt. He scored the winner less than a minute after coming on as a substitute, and tomorrow's his birthday.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good Friday, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to
It's
Talking
definitely
Short
not Friday.
episode. No, it might be when they're listening, Mike. Stop spoiling this shit. God.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 179 of the Talking Short podcast. We're back to have a chat about Leeds United and all things surrounding Leeds United. And tonight I am joined by just the other two from Talking Short, as we're missing Ben, unfortunately. After all this time of dodging it, COVID has finally caught up with him. And unfortunately, he's not very well. So hope he gets well soon, and hopefully he'll be back for the next show that we can schedule. So yeah, sending our love and wishes to Ben and his missus in their time of COVID. But we are joined by Raggy. Good evening, Rags, live from your wardrobe again. How are you?
Yeah, makeshift podcast studio. Don't have a fancy background like you. I'm very good. Yeah, not bad. I've managed still to dodge the Rona. So, for another week, touch wood, keep going.
And live from the East Stand, a gag that will not translate very well onto the podcast, but we're joined by Mike from roughly around the halfway line in the East Stand. That's his background.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mike. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, yeah. Good to be at Ellen Road for a change.
Nice. It's been a bit strange, hasn't it, with no football? This last weekend's been a bit terrible, and social media has been a little bit of a painful place to be with the transfer window slamming shut, which we'll touch on in a little bit. Before we do that, though, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. If you are on any of them platforms, indulging yourself in this mockery, please share it to your page, into your stream, and whatever else, so that other people can get involved and listen to us talk bobbins week in, week out. Anyway, we're obviously joined tonight by the guys from the Terrace, our one and only surviving sponsor now, as we've been dropped by every other one for being bobbins. No, we're just not needed by them anymore. So yeah, we're just stuck by the Terrace, and we'll hear from them guys a little bit later on. If you are watching us on Facebook, don't forget there is the All Leeds Aren't We Facebook group, one of the biggest around for Leeds chat on Facebook. Go over and join that. Big thanks to Jay Patel for helping us out with that stuff. So, lads, the window's finally shut. We can stop speculating about signing somebody from anywhere. We can stop being lazily linked by some sort of weird agent circle that just use Leeds United to pedal out and to get their moves. And all the prepubescent teenagers who make up agent accounts can disappear back off to play Minecraft, and we can all start indulging in football again. So, lads, the window has shut. 11 o'clock last night, slam shut. Did anybody actually sit and watch 11 tick by? Mike, did you sit and watch 11 tick by?
I was up, but not for that reason. No, it was just kind of one of them that just, it was like a non-event, wasn't it? It just kind of, you looked at your watch. Oh, it's, nothing.
Yeah, I turned in about 10:15. Thought, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with what's happening. Rags, I take it you didn't see 11 o'clock tick by, mate?
Definitely not, no. No. 100% not.
No, absolutely.
To be honest, the whole drama of the I'm a bit over it, to be honest. The whole trying to bullshit about deadline day and everything like that. I know there was quite a few deals that went through on the day, and obviously not for Leeds, but throughout the leagues and everything. But I don't know. It seemed to be a good few years ago. It did seem to be that event and everything like that. Whereas now, I think they just try and make it out like, I know they're trying to do it to get eyeballs on devices and watch the channels and everything like that, but they just try and make something out of nothing, and like it wasn't incredibly exciting. It hasn't been exciting for a long time, certainly not a deadline day. And obviously when Leeds were definitely not going to feature at all, it was a complete non-event for me.
Yeah, I have to agree, mate. I do kind of subscribe as much as I hate deadline day because I don't really like transfer window, to be honest. But I did used to like indulging in a bit of transfer deadline day drama when we had Peter Odemwingie turning up at QPR, trying to
all
force
those
through
kind
a
of
deal.
stuff. Yeah.
And a little bit of, we thought that Patrick Aubameyang were going to be the very sort of higher class Peter Odemwingie when he just turned up at Barcelona, like showering people in pound notes and saying, yes, I'm king of Barcelona, essentially. And then the deal didn't look like it was going to go through, but it did actually go through. So, yeah, that was kind of the interest this window. Let's talk about the Leeds stuff. It's been mentioned a lot on social media, and it sits in very two camps, which are one, back the club, support them, whatever, blah blah blah, and the second one, which is no, it's akin to what's the wording I've seen? It's akin to negligence, the fact that we haven't done deals and all this type of stuff. Like we discussed it a little bit on last week's show, which did come across a little bit negative, I think, post Newcastle and all that type of stuff. But really, the only name we were in for, or it appears we were in for, were Brendan Aronson from RB Salzburg, which obviously didn't come off. They didn't want him to go. Other name were linked to Tiki Minamino from Liverpool. But when I heard on Sky Sports News yesterday morning that he was in Japan, I thought that's going to be a difficult deal to do, that one. That's a tough one. Even the very best of private jets are going to struggle to get that one done. But looking at it now the window's shut, and we look at the teams around us, and we'll have a look at the deals that they've done around us. And coupled with another few things we've seen today. Good window, bad window. Where are you sitting, Rags, with good window, bad window?
Well, as with any window, and I don't want to kind of state the bleeding obvious, but proof will be in the pudding. And it's the same with anything. It's like I've seen a lot of people say everyone around us has strengthened. No, but most people around us have done deals, absolutely. But whether or not that strengthens, absolutely not. The vast majority of people around us who, I think I saw something on The Athletic today that said like half of the value of the Premier League transfers, over half the value, was all done by the bottom few teams. So there's been obviously money splashed by those people. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to turn those seasons around, because a lot of them are either unproven in the Premier League or, a lot of them are unproven in the Premier League, or, the likes of Dele Alli and Van der Beek who haven't been playing much Premier League football at all as well. So even the ones who've played a bit of Premier League football. So if we'd have sat there with 6 new signings like some teams have done, some of which have not played any Premier League football, you'd be going, this is a gamble. This is a massive gamble, because, you could go down and it could work the other way. So I genuinely, and I hope, and you can never legislate for this, but I don't think, hopefully the injuries can't be as bad in the second half of the season. I definitely think we've got enough to keep us up. I definitely think there's 3 worse teams. And I think it just goes to show that a lot of teams out there have done that gamble, and whether or not it'll pay off, I'm not too certain. What I do know is, there has been names that have been linked to the club that we've, and whether you believe these things or not, we've said, we weren't interested. Van der Beek being one of them. I think Winks was another. Again, this might be spurious. I'm not too sure. But if we've turned them down, that means that we're, the people who do the real stuff, which is Bielsa and his team, said no, they won't improve us, and we've got enough to do that. And I can trust that. I can, we're 4 years into this project, and they've got enough credit in the bank for me to say, personally, I've sat here on this show years ago saying selling Pontus Jansson and bringing in Ben White is not good enough. We need more centre halves and all that kind of stuff. I've put my neck on the line, and I was proved completely wrong. So I'm not, I do trust in this. I do trust in the process. And do I think that we have deliberately gone out and spent absolutely no money, and Bielsa's banging on the door saying, I need this, I need that, and we're not? No, I don't think that's happened at all. If that is happening, then I would be a bit worried. Would I personally have liked to have seen a few people through the door? Yeah, probably, because of the injury things we've had. But I certainly wouldn't have liked anyone through the door that either Bielsa didn't sign off on or didn't improve us, because what's the frigging point?
I think one thing that stuck out for me after obviously the window shut, and we heard from certainly Phil at the Athletic that Leeds got offered Dele Alli and Dele Alli and Van der Beek. What? Am I right in thinking?
No,
I thought it was Winks and
Harry
Van der
Winks.
Beek.
Sorry, Winks and Van der Beek. I think what that serves to prove is that Bielsa just doesn't work in names. He works in metric. He works in data. He works in. It's just not a name, and I think we've proved this before when he first came to this country, and we heard all the stories about when the club went out to approach him. And if you remember his first few press conferences, he talked in number 10, 7 and 3 can play in that position. Number 4, 6 and 8 can play in that position. And I think on the grand scheme of things, I think if the club turned around to him and said, "Do you want Donny van der Beek?" I don't think he thinks of Donny van der Beek. I think he looks at the characteristics and the skill set that he's got. And as great as us as fans look at it and go, fucking hell, he bossed Ajax's midfield and whatever. Bielsa's so rigid in the way that he sets his teams up. I know that sounds ridiculous because nobody really knows what he does set his teams up, but he knows what he wants. And obviously Van der Beek wasn't what he wanted. So he's up against it. And like I was the one who sat, and people on this podcast who listen to this podcast will test it. I was the one that sat saying we needed deals in, not just purely because I felt like it would freshen the camp up a little bit. It would lift the fans a little bit because we're quite up and down at the moment because it's been an indifferent season, a frustrating season, I think, would agree. And I sat in the camp of, just a couple of one face in would be a lift for the fans. It'd be a lift for the players and it'd give us some options. But now, like I said before we came on air, with the window shut, you look and you think, well, actually, like we look at the teams around us and we'll have a little look at what deals they've done. And you look at it and go, yeah, they've done deals, but have they really strengthened? I mean, Watford appear to be taking a big gamble on 3 players who I've never heard of. That don't mean that they're bad footballers, but, they're coming in from not the top of the continent where they've been playing on, and they're coming in to try and make a difference in the Premier League at a struggling side. And even Newcastle have been talked about. And I mean, they've signed Matt Targett. For me, Matt Targett is a 7 out of 10 week in, week out, solid fullback. Signed Dan Burn. I'm not sure what Dan Burn is. I obviously know he's a centre half and he's a Geordie, but that's about it. Then they've signed the kid Guimarães, the Brazilian lad who's got bags of talent by all accounts, but can he come in and change to the English game? We've seen it down at Chelsea with Havertz and Timo Werner, world-class players punted as, and they've come in and they really seem to struggle with the English game, the English way of playing. So does Guimarães come in and have the effect that they want him to have? And then essentially, Burnley have signed a replacement for Chris Wood, which is a 1-in-2 striker, a Dutch international. But for me, when we saw him at Ellen Road and when I've watched Burnley, that doesn't appear to be their issue. Their issue for me is they can't get balls to that person and they can't stop conceding goals. So, and even if you go to Everton, they've signed Van der Beek and Ali, 2 fullbacks. But you look at them and you go, when I've spoke to Everton fans, a couple that I know, said that centre half's been their problem this year. Yerry Mina,
Michael Keane.
Yerry Mina, they love Michael Keane's a nightmare. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Frank Lampard is not a great coach. He has gone into Derby, been given a load of youth who are playing at a level that they shouldn't have really been playing at. Basically, tried to boss his way out, as we now know, fiddling bucks all over the place, not Frank directly, but the club. Then he's gone to Chelsea with a world-class team, okay, under a transfer embargo, done okay, and off the back of that, and then they get some money, they don't do very well, and off the back of that, he's got himself a job at Everton. So, yeah, I did subscribe to. I wanted somebody in. I did want an experienced goalkeeper and some attacking options. But do you know what? It's done. We've got what we've got. There's not much we can do about it. There's enough in this side to keep us up. Injuries apart, and I do think that we will stay up. I think we'll be okay. Mike, your thoughts on the transfer window?
Yeah, I have to sort of echo what you two have just said. I thought initially there was a bit of a panic. I was one of them. I was like, oh God, you don't really, it's a bit knee-jerk reaction. It's like, oh my God, everyone's signing somebody. But now we've had a time to sort of breathe and look at it for what it is. And like you said, looking at like Watford signings, just a bunch of like 5 million, 4 million pound players. Seems like panic buying to me. I'm glad we didn't descend into that. And yeah, I don't think Bielsa will let these players fail. I don't think he'll let them. You know, the whole point of keeping a tight-knit small squad, I think, is that philosophy and that drive stays true. And it's, you know, you've, as a Leeds fan now, you've got to put your faith in that. Because, you know, I'm really looking forward to the summer window as well. I think this whole talk of a deal in principle for Aronson is great. You know, let him have his Champions League run.
But the thing is, Mike, on that for me, that has to be a binding deal because already there's talk about Milan being in for him.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Being in for him. And let's be honest, if we survive, we are still a Premier League club that have survived relegation.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't got a loyalty to Leeds. So if Milan come in and come to Milan, you know, play essentially they'll probably qualify for the Champions League. I don't follow Italy that much, but Leeds need to thrash that deal out now. That needs to be a deal that's agreed, lined up, ready to go. First day summer transfer window ticks off. He goes to Colorado or wherever he goes, and then he comes and joins Leeds. We need to, if we are having a rebuilding job in summer, we need to act like we are and not leave it while the last minute again.
There's a thing that I think of the USA not qualified for the World Cup now. I think I watched the game where Canada beat them 2-0. I don't know if that might have an effect. You know, USA not being in the World Cup, you know, might move that deal forward a bit. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I think, you know, we need signatures on paper. We don't need, you know, promises and words. And the same with, you know, any others really that we're looking at. I think Orta now has to go, okay, you know, don't be waiting till the window, and, you know, I think, just get what you can done and let the team focus on, you know, because we looked at it as well. And, you know, the two teams realistically that could improve and push on now would be Newcastle and Everton, let's say, hypothetically. And if they come above us, we're still in 17th. You know, I agree with what Raggy said. I still think Norwich, Burnley, and Watford don't have a hope. You know, I think they're prime favourites for relegation now.
I think the fact that Norwich didn't do any business either, to me, says that, you know, they're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
I
don't think Newcastle have done enough. I really don't.
No.
I agree.
That's hypothetical.
I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Lampard will get a tune out of Everton either. I really don't. So I've got nothing to worry. I'm also looking above us. There's teams that you know. I genuinely think we'll finish above Brentford this season. I think they really hit the skids at the minute. I think they're on a tumble down. I think we're absolutely fine. I really do. I think we're absolutely fine. And I did do that going into this window. I've thought that before. You know, I think what really killed us was the result against Newcastle, not necessarily the result. Because before that, obviously coming off the back of the Burnley and the West Ham games, you know, people were talking, genuinely, our fan base were talking about, you know, through, you know, with the tongue firmly in the cheek, but talking about Europe and all that kind of stuff. And then just one result just does it like that. And the problem you've got is you've got then the vacuum of this winter break where no football's being played. So you don't have those emotions going on. You don't have another, you know, if we'd have played Villa at the weekend and beat them, you know, everyone else is now then on the high again, you know, and we're not kind of, you know, there was a lot of hysteria and a lot of real kind of teeth gnashing on social media over the weekend, you know, and you know, this is criminal from Leeds and everything like that. And you just got to, there's just a bit of perspective in my opinion. I think we're absolutely fine. I've thought that all season, you know, and Bielsa's always said January is not a good time to do business, and he's proven that every time. You know, we've never made a decent January transfer signing, have we? In Bielsa's time, in fact, they've all been.
Hadn't thought sure before, really.
Before that, you know, they've all turned pretty bad. So you know, we'll see. We'll obviously, as anything, we'll see how it goes. But... well. You know, I was a big defender of him at one time.
So was I.
And I think he came in and, you know, you'll probably be able to trawl through our historic podcasts and and there was a lot of people defending, criticising his mistakes, and we were saying he's probably saved us more points than he's cost us, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, then the incident happened, and we don't want no more to do with him. But from a footballing point of view, at one time he looks all right, but it didn't work out, did it?
No, it didn't, mate. We'll get some comments because there's quite a few coming in. There's some trouble causer called Ben Tomlinson on YouTube. Just get it big with some aviators on. I don't know who he is. Jay Patel says, evening, guys. Steve says, evening, lads. Did you do anything exciting on Monday? So, transfer window ticking by. Did you do exciting Monday, lads? Oh, I went and played five-a-side. I was awful. Absolutely stunk the place out. I was horrendous.
I take my daughter to dancing on a Monday night, so no.
No, Mike, did you go Monday night?
I just worked.
Yeah. Peter Homan says, hello, out mate. Liam Duffy, star of last week's show, says, hey, guys. Ben Tillotson says, evening, lads. Jason Taylor says, evening. Jay Patel sends his best wishes to Ben. Ben Parker says, hey, up, lad. Hope you're well. Mike is stood the wrong way around in the ground. So somebody pointing out your background there, Mike, saying that you're facing essentially the corporate box.
It's only warm
rather than the game. Jim Ogden says, congratulations on 1,000 subs. Yeah, we got 1,000 subs. We got 1,012 subs that we did last week's show and got 1,003. So that tells you how negative last week's show was. Fair few other points in there. Ben Tomlinson saying that Kiko was actually loads better than BPF, which is very much true.
Yeah. I'm better than BPF, though. So.
Yeah, I am as well. And then Stephen Mayer says, and this is a good point, actually, and this is probably a bit that us as fans have kind of lost sight of because we've seen Calvin's out till March, Cooper's out till March, Paddy's dead, whatever. He's not dead, joke that. But Stephen Mayer says, great to see Calvin, Coops and Creswell back on the grass. Hope that things are looking up. Just hope we can get Paddy back soon. Really missed him, and I tried to stay off social media Monday. Best way. Yeah, I gave it a little bit of a wide berth. I didn't even roll in any like banter bombs that I try every now and again either, because I just couldn't be asked with the backlash. Paul Crooks said, should have got a keeper in. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I heard a little rumour today that we had a little try for Darren Randolph down at West Ham towards the end of the window, and West Ham rebuffed us, I think is the word. Let's talk about West Ham. So they made it very publicly aware, shall we say, that they'd had a little go for Calvin Phillips and Rafinha. Now, if I was a West Ham fan, which I'm not, because I don't wear like a little pot pie hat and throw bottles of Lucozade piss at people, but basically, I'd be quite insulted by that, because not for 1 minute, if I was a level-headed West Ham fan, would I believe that I could go and cherry-pick two of the better players from a fellow Premier League side in January with such derisory offers. They're saying that Declan Rice is worth 200 million, but then they only offer 50 for Calvin. That's incredibly insulting in my eyes. So which side of the divide do you sit on? Are West Ham taking the piss? Yes. And as a West Ham fan, having ultimately concluded no business whatsoever when they're like on the verge of Champions League football but appear to be stuttering slightly, you'd be pissed off with that, because I'd be quite annoyed, to be honest. I mean, I didn't even entertain getting upset about it, because not for 1 minute did I believe that Leeds would sell the two crown jewels, essentially, at the moment, because Paddy's been out the majority of the season, to a fellow Premier League side who were offering such, well, to be honest, in today's market, shit money.
I think it's their board trying to like do something for their fans. I think they're trying to trying to impress themselves or impress the fans by just making offers that they have no intention of, getting.
But surely that insults the intelligence of their fans, like you said.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's what I mean. It does. Like, if I'm trying to think of an equivalent. If we'd have gone in and said, quite a low offer for another Premier League, an equivalent Premier League team for us.
Well, mate, it's like us going to Newcastle and offering 10 million for St. Maximin, isn't it? It is really.
Yeah. And it's never ever going to come off. But they're like, oh well, at least we're trying. And like you say, you talk about windows and everything like that. They're in a position where they're fighting for fourth, and they haven't strengthened. They haven't done anything. And on the flip side of it, is it a good window that we've managed to keep hold of Raphinha and Phillips? That's the other side of it.
Oh yeah, massively.
It's the bare minimum, isn't it? But a window comes up, and you want to finish that window with your best players remaining at the club. So we've done that, which is good. It would have been a different scenario if one of the bigger teams had come in with bigger money, I suppose. But I like the fact that the club turned around and said, no, just absolutely not. I think I said to my non-Leeds supporting mate when he was trying to say 7-1 for Leeds to go down was a good bet. And I said, well, you can mop up then, can't you? Because I think we'll be absolutely fine. But he was going on about it and saying, well, what about this West Ham thing? And I said, well, if we'd have sold either of them for 50 million to West Ham, then we don't even belong in the Premier League. You know, that would have been such shit ambition. It's unbelievable. It's an insult at the end of the day, and it got called out for it. I know Simon Jordan called him out, and he said he'd done a similar thing when he was at Crystal Palace, and Sullivan was at Birmingham with Andy Johnson, and it's so transparent. It's unbelievable. It's nonsense at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of them, like I was boarding my loft out on Monday. So for those who asked, I boarded my loft out. And I got TalkSport on my phone while I was in the loft boarding it out. And Sky Sports peddled it out most of the day because I think they were clutching at news. And you're thinking, you go, do you know what? Like, that's not even worth getting out of your pram about, like, because it's just such a silly offer and such a silly time. Like Leeds, I have no doubt, if we don't evolve as a club fast enough, that Calvin and Raphinha, you would argue, are going to be the first two out the door. Because ultimately, as I've said before, I'm of the belief that at times clubs evolve quicker than players. I would put Tyler Roberts in that bracket. That Leeds got promoted to the Premier League quicker than Tyler Roberts is ready to play in the Premier League, in my opinion. But then I'd also say that at times players evolve quicker than clubs do. And I think that Raphinha, we signed 17 million, and he's been excellent this season. But I think we've seen the good and the bad of him, if I'm being like brutally honest. And Calvin, has been on an upward trajectory for some time. So if your teams come in, your bigger teams, and start sniffing around them players, then do you know what? You can't really begrudge them leaving. Even Calvin is one of our, he's one of our own, and we love him for that and all that type of stuff. But let's be honest, if Manchester City come in for him in summer and say, we want you to be a long-term replacement for Fernandinho, as an example, I think that most Leeds fans would go, yeah, do you know what? Like, fair play to him. If he wants to go win trophies and whatever else, as long as the club get wedged in for him as well, as long as it's not a derisory,
well, this is
20 million or something stupid, then fair dues.
This is why we're playing the field as well, because we're getting these players tied down to long-term contracts, aren't we? There's talk of Raphinha renewing. Didn't quite happen this window, but I think that'll be because he's in Brazil. So,
mate, the rumours are that it's signed, it's done.
Yeah. I wouldn't surprise me.
Leeds waiting for whatever.
But the thing about Raphinha as well, everyone's quick to forget that he was in the Champions League when he joined us. He qualified for the Champions League. So this whole thing of like, oh, he'll want to come to play European football. Well, why did he leave Rennes then? You know what I mean? It doesn't. You can't always judge every player by that same thing, and this is the same with Phillips. But I agree, if the club will play it right. If it does come to that, the club will absolutely play it right. I've no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. Just on a bit of other news now, just slightly detracting away from transfers. There's been a bit of rumouring about the rescheduled Liverpool game, supposedly scheduled or unofficially scheduled for the 23rd of February, which is a Wednesday, which is roughly 4 days before the League Cup final, which obviously Liverpool also featuring as well. So that's a very interesting spin on that, because Klopp will want to win trophies, whatever they are. So that's a very interesting.
Does he care about the League Cup now? Has he?
It gives him an opportunity to whinge, so of course.
Yeah, that's there's an opportunity of whinging there. Right, before we get into other Leeds United related news, get your comments in, by the way, and we'll get a bit of them before we get hear from one of our sponsors. Russell says, I'm not looking at keeping Phillips and Raf as a bonus this window. That was a minimum I would have expected. I'd have to agree with that.
Stephen Mayer,
Yeah,
me too. I'm just saying it like at that starting level. Like it would, people are saying this has been a diabolical window. No, diabolical window would be losing one of them or two of both of them. So.
On other news, Stephen Mayer comments here about the rescheduled game potentially on the 23rd of Feb. He's put, if that's right, we would have Scum on the 20th, Liverpool on the 23rd, and Spurs on the 26th, floating around on social media. So that's an interesting.
The thing is, these games
we've got to
play. They've got to get slotted in somewhere. It could be worse. You could be Burnley. And how many of those? They've got about 4 games.
4, 6.
Yeah,
something right.
Like that. Absolutely. But they're all good. You're gonna get a bit of a pile up at some stage because they're gonna have to get played. So,
Bajani Whitaker says, if Dan James starts up front for the next game, I fear the worst for Leeds. I really do. Either play players in their positions or expect bad results. Yeah. I have no problem with James himself, but he's not a striker. Why is Gellard not good enough to start? To me, if you're Gellard and you see James starting in front of you in your position, your confidence is massively shot. Yeah, there's some interesting points.
We have said like Bielsa's not infallible. Like we have faith in him and his crazy mind. Now he views everything, but we do also question him. He's not infallible, and that is one of, I think, the points. Well, square pegs in round holes.
This is the thing, Mike, that's been floated around on social media recently, and I struggle on either side of the divide. You have fans who say we should back the club throughout. You have fans who say we shouldn't criticise what the club say. Yeah. Then you have fans who sit on the other side. Now, for me, criticism is what we do as football fans. If you went and watched your local dog and duck team, you'd find some criticism in there that, he's not quite up to it or whatever. He's left side, whatever it might be. That's what football has always been. With the upturn of social media, all that's happened is that's become the platform. That's become the pub tap room where you discuss your footballing things and all that type of stuff. And wherever people sit on either side of the opinion, that's fine. If you just want to blindly back the club, regardless of whatever they do, that's fine. But also, there's fans in there who have seen the club get it so dramatically wrong on many an occasion that they rightly are sceptical about the way that the club go about things. And Bielsa is an absolute genius. And we got hammered last week on YouTube by a few people saying, I'm never going to watch this anti-Bielsa shit ever again. You could not be any further from the truth. We are the least anti-Bielsa group of people you could possibly come across. But he's still open to criticism. And that is that's just life. He's open to criticism and we can criticize him. And we can criticize other people, Tyler Roberts, whoever else it might be. But when we all go inside Ellen Road, whatever stadium it is, 100% do we back Bielsa, 100% do we back Tyler Roberts, 100% do we back each other. Like, it's okay to criticize.
Yeah,
it's all about part balance of sport. You know what I mean? That's part of following any form of a game. Ultimately, that's what Sky Sports rake millions of pounds in a month from criticising and pointing out things that people are or aren't doing correctly. So, Benjani Whitaker's got a point. The frustrating bit is that we see Dan James running himself to death in the number 9 position while we see Joffrey on the bench. And it is frustrating.
But then he just come back from it.
To it. Go on.
But I was one last week to say that he should have been introduced a lot earlier, even started. But who knows how fit he was? He'd just come back from injury, so there's caveats to everything. We don't know absolutely everything. Like Benjani said, if he does start against Villa, and we know that Joffrey is 100% fit, or there's other alternatives, then we have to. But Dan James started up front against West Ham and we won that game. I know we won it kind of maybe despite him rather than because of it. But we, at that game we had a hat trick off the wing. So things, it's not to say that it is frustrating at times when you're stood either at the ground or watching it on telly and you're thinking, that's not working and I can see that. So why can't anybody else see that? But maybe they are. And there's just other factors in there, I suppose. I suppose if it's just kind of flogging a dead horse. What we really need, we need Patrick Bamford back fit. That's what we need. We need Patrick Bamford back fit, and we would see a massive upturn because that has been a huge gap.
Oh,
It was the 17th of September that the last time he started a game. It's a long, long time to have such a crucial part of this team not starting.
Well, it's 17 goals. How many points is that going to cost you over the course of a season? It speaks for itself, doesn't it? But yeah, like we say, that it's all about balance. The criticism for losing to Southampton or Newcastle, I think, is fair, and likewise the praise for beating West Ham. It swings and roundabouts, but it's all dished out fair here.
Yeah. Trevor Hughes comments on Facebook saying, Bielsa's a stats manager. How can he ignore James and Roberts' rubbish stats when Gellard starts 1 goal, 1 penalty, 1 and 1 assist without playing half a match? The interesting bit about that is it depends on the metrics in which Bielsa's are playing. Because I know for Roberts, he will use the metrics as a number 10. So progressive passing, forward passing, runs made, all that type of stuff. And I would argue, without seeing them, that I bet, as painful as people might find this, that Tyler Roberts' stats, due to the amount of games he's played this year, due to injuries, are probably all right. I would also argue the metric in what he applies to James, and it will be something along the lines as playing as the 9, closing down.
Yeah, absolutely. He does all that brilliantly.
Yeah, and the reality is he's probably a little bit better than Joffrey at this moment in time of doing that. So as much as I agree with you, Trevor, that I'd like to see Joffrey be given a proper go, that's probably why we're getting that, to be honest. But we'll have to wait and see. Jay Patel says constructive criticism is good. Russell says it's hilarious that who would get so funny about someone disagreeing with something they said. Yeah. True.
What do you expect when we lost to Newcastle? Were you expecting us to be all like, hey, love that, buzzing with that? Yeah.
Luke Holroyd, there's an argument to protect youth. You said it yourself. They're open to criticism. Leeds fans can be their harshest critics. If Joffrey's a bad game, imagine the critics on young shoulders. Yeah, and Luke has got a good point there. I believe Luke might be the photographer for Josh Warrington and Leeds United as well, but I'm not sure. But anyway, big shout out to Luke if it is that Luke. But yeah, Joffrey, he's got the world at his feet and all them things. And I am of the belief that he should start starting games now, and let's give him a good chance. Let's give him a good go. We're struggling. We've not got Paddy. We need somebody with a bit of a striker's instinct, despite what I've just said about James doing such a good job up front. But there is also an element of that that I'd like to know the stats of how many players make their first appearance for Leeds at Ellen Road and then don't go on to make consecutive appearances after that, because it is a big pressure. So yeah, there is an element of that. Robertson's goal stats, Russell. Yeah, but again, like I said, is that what Bielsa measures his metric on Robertson's performance? Is it goal stats or is it all the other stuff that surrounds it? Benjani Whitaker says, I was a massive critic of Liam Cooper too, but him coming back bolsters the defence and potentially allows Firpo more freedom. I think maybe I was wrong about Cooper having as much influence as he does. It's clear to see why we miss him when he's not there. He is the organizer of the back of the back four, essentially.
Llorente's getting there. Llorente's getting there, isn't he? But Cooper's been in the seat, hasn't he, for so long now. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, thanks very much for your comments. Obviously, can't get through all the way through them. But before we go any further, let's hear from our one and only, very lonely sponsor at the moment, our friends at the Terrace. Big shout out to Paul from the Terrace. It was his birthday the other day, so happy birthday to the big man. He won't get this, but Mike, what's going down at the Terrace? I know Valentine's Day is ticking around the corner. What will you be buying your good lady from the Terrace?
Anything football related.
She'll love that. Mate, she will love that. Honestly,
we actually had this joke about. She said, "Don't get me anything football related." Plus, she knows I work there, so she knows I get it for free. So,
mate, don't tell her that shit.
Oh no, she knows it now. But what we are doing at the moment, we're doing a lot of jackets. We're doing a lot of what we call explorer jackets, which are sort of soft shell, casual, lightweight jackets for the football. We've got a Leeds one out with a very snazzy Leeds since 1999 logo on it. We've got tumbler bottles coming out, passport cases, which are really cool. Unfortunately, we can't take them on European journeys at the moment, but the Leeds range is absolutely smashing it. There's an amazing blackout shirt as well. Face masks if you want to wear them. Barrel bags, notebooks, literally anything you can think of for the Leeds United fan in your life, then we've got it. And of course, the iconic kit mugs, which I still have to deliver to you guys, but when we all meet again, I'm sure you'll be chuffed with them because they are amazing.
Mate, I nearly went viral in then. Don't know where, but I'm sure we'll. If COVID fucks off, we might actually get to meet in person again. We haven't seen Raggy forever. I'm not even sure if that is Raggy.
Yeah.
I think it might be a man wearing his skin.
It's a hologram.
Hologram, mate. Hologram.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get together.
But yeah, Terrace, we're absolutely smashing it at the moment, and we're doing like really cool retro 90s looking like jackets. But we haven't got around to the Leeds one yet. We're doing the licensed clubs at the moment. But yeah, like track jackets, really cool. Even the Nottingham Forest one looks really cool.
How many requests from West Ham fans, because they're licensed, did you get for Rafinha and Calvin Phillips on transfer deadline day?
Fortunately, none, because I wouldn't have done them. Or if I'd have done them, because I handle all the request to kit mugs, I'd have like snuck in like a little message. Like, you muggy.
Yeah, that's a good word of that, isn't it? They love that muggy stuff.
Or just sneak a little 3-2 in there or something. But I do handle all the request to kit mugs. So literally any Leeds kits you want on a mug, I'm your guy. Get them in.
You're the man. Anyway, moving on. Big thanks to the guys at the Terrace and obviously Terrace Mike, his alter ego. Moving into sort of other news. Derby, I've had a player sent off within 3 minutes against Huddersfield, so Russell just informs me in the comments, which is hilarious all by itself. 2 international goals for Rafinha last night against Paraguay. Have you seen the goals, lads? What did you think? From Rafinha's new nickname, Rafa the Gaffer, from his 9 darts challenge on LUTV. But what did you make to his 2 goals? Just adds another 0 to his
just a bit. A bit. It's still mad. It's still kind of mad, isn't it? That like a Brazilian starting player who's scoring goals plays for Leeds United.
Yeah.
I know Brazil aren't maybe the team they once were.
Oh, no,
obviously that amazing 70s team, the one in the 90s and all that kind of stuff.
The early 2000s.
Early 2000s. But to have that as international honours, it's a Leeds player going out there and trying to qualify for a World Cup for Brazil, and it's our player scoring goals. It's mental, really, when you think about it.
I also wonder as well, from trying to think a little bit in Rafa's mindset, if Leeds wedge him up in terms of making him one of the top earners, and they sell a future to him that, potentially some money coming in the summer, and potentially we're going to push big. Does Rafa need much more in his life? I mean, what is he, 24? 24? He's a regular in the Brazil team.
This could influence.
This is the thing. Like, we might potentially be Champions League in 2 years.
This is the thing. Or? The promises they make to him will influence our windows as well. If he goes, well, I want to stay, but I don't want to be fighting a relegation battle, and they go, we'll get this, we'll get XYZ in, we'll get this kid in from Salzburg. If they make promises to him about developing the team to his level, it could potentially influence the summer window in terms of quality over quantity, or just the kind of players that we get.
Did anybody catch the sort of down low news that Mauricio Pochettino won't be extending at PSG beyond this season? Everybody catch that little bit of a little bit?
I'd seen that. Yeah,
a little bit of a low level piece of news.
Yeah.
Could that be an option if Marcelo chooses to?
I'd love it.
Go back to Rosario with absolutely monumental hero status applied. By the way, like, again, we got panned last week on Facebook and YouTube and all the other shite that we're on for hammering Marcelo. But I will be totally honest, and it's easy to be like a bit starry-eyed and all that misty-eyed and stuff about it, but he genuinely has reinvigorated my love for the sport. Up until Marcelo joining Leeds United, both from as the Leeds manager and as a football man, I was beginning to lose faith with the sport, if I'm really, really honest. I was beginning to see it as a bit of a money chasm vacuum of just selfish, self-centered people who just wanted one thing. And I think he came in and showed us different. And I will be absolutely gutted if he leaves. But if he leaves, let's set that aside. Mauricio Pochettino, if Leeds could sell him a dream, and he follows on from Marcelo, maybe Marcelo takes some sort of like supervisory role. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Can you imagine that? So, like,
no, I can't imagine.
Bad news.
Can't imagine that.
Structure.
No,
I
can't imagine that at all. It's never ever going to happen. No. He's either the man or he's not, isn't he?
He's been a director of football before, though.
Has he?
He was a director of football at Club America in Mexico. Yeah. He went there for a bit. It was an absolute nightmare. It failed. It didn't go very well for him, but yeah. But genuinely, as an Andover takeover.
Yeah.
Bielsa to Pochettino, if we could.
You can't actually really pick something better, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you want to carry on. If you want to carry on the same ethos and philosophy and everything like that, you couldn't really pick anybody. Yeah. And he's proven in the Premier League. It would be absolutely ideal. I mean, it's probably a pipe dream, really. Realistically,
absolutely.
It's a hell of a pipe dream to have. I mean, I'm sure he'll have his short list of successors. And again, with the takeover and, the 49ers thing, you would like somebody that can at least you get that continuity of the philosophy, at least, And again, he's not tainted by being at any other real rival clubs. There was a bit of a panic of him going to Man U, but I'm sure he just wants to get some silverware because he's probably one of the best coaches in the world to not have any major silverware. So
that's also another element to it, though, that Ragginek's only at end of season and Pochettino's coming available. So that's another element to it. So let's not get too carried away. I was being a bit tongue in cheek with that.
But how hilarious would that be if Poch chose us over Scum? Scum went in for him.
Would be pretty amazing.
I'm gonna. Marcelo's come round. He's had another look at my legs and he's sold me the dream.
Well, let's be honest. There can only be one successor, can't there? You can't. There's only one chance to take the mantle. Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. We've all had a little look behind the curtain of Scum's quite fragile mindset in not allowing Jesse Lingard to go to Newcastle because of Newcastle's spending power, which we definitely saw towards the end of the transfer window. So they are quite a fragile bunch. So if we nicked Poch from under their nose, if Marcelo did choose to leave, that would be hilarious, to be honest. Yeah. In other news, Aston Villa played Brentford yesterday in a behind closed door game and beat them in preparation for the game coming up on Wednesday evening next week. Marcelo's put the lads through triple murder ball, apparently, from what I was reading today. And we've also seen pictures of, we alluded to earlier, Liam Cooper, Charlie Creswell and Calvin Phillips all back on the grass. I would imagine, depending on fitness, that Creswell might be a bit further forward due to the fact that he's got a dislocated shoulder and nothing sort of lower limbed related, but we'll have to wait and see in that. No sign of Paddy on any of them pictures, though. Believed to be struggling with a foot injury, which, from my extensive medical background, I've watched 2 seasons of Casualty. Plantar fasciitis might be an issue.
What they need to do, mate, they need to inject the medicine into the main bit, and then it'll be better.
Yeah, and then
that's what they need to do,
and then it finishes just before end credits. But so that's one. Slightly before that time, though, on Wednesday against Villa, which we'll talk about in a little minute. Leeds 23s feature against Liverpool 23s at Ellen Road, and there's a kind of a little bit of a story in there. So Harvey Elliott paid for the 23s the other day against Wrexham for Liverpool 23s, obviously. And then his next his next game, ironically, could be against Leeds 23s on Ellen Road, the same place where he got his ankle put on backwards purely accidentally. So that could be quite an interesting one. But focusing on the 23s and looking at Monday, and obviously we've got a game on Wednesday. Could we see any players from the first team featuring that game on Monday? Players who need minutes? Maybe even just get 45, which Marcelo likes to do. If you were to name any, who do you think would potentially feature in that game for maybe 45?
To be honest, everyone, just for the sake of confidence.
I'd just play the entire team.
I'd play anyone and everyone for half an hour, 45 minutes. Just, there's particular players that will need a bit of confidence boosting, and if we're gonna continue with James as a 9, then, you'd maybe think, well, bed him in a bit in there, or
Strauch
could get some minutes. Koch.
I would probably go Junior Firpo. Didn't play before the winter break, which is shite.
Yeah.
Didn't play before then, so I'd probably go Junior Firpo. Give him a couple of minutes. I think we're starting to see what we thought we'd signed.
Yeah, play Gelhardt up front maybe, or Lewis Bate,
Rodrigo, get some more minutes in him. Tyler through the middle, try and get him a bit of confidence, maybe. Lewis Bate, Elder. Creswell at centre half would be good. He's been out for a bit, shoulder injury. He's not likely to start against Villa because we're doing all right for centre halves at the moment with Strauch and Llorente. So I'd probably give Creswell a go on Monday night. Free to members, if you're a member, you can go down to Ellen Road. I'll be down there myself. Mike, you're coming down, aren't you?
I am indeed.
Hey, yeah. Where are you sat? Have you got your tickets?
L31.
Oh, I ain't looked that.
It's all in East Stand, mate. It's sort of like a big block of us in East Stand. So
yeah, and then we move on Wednesday night. Liam G says we should stick Stuart Dallas in nets for experience. That'd be quite funny. Moving on then to Wednesday night away at Villa Park in Birmingham against Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa. Obviously, they've done a lot of business recently, signing Philippe Coutinho and what else they signed? Philippe Coutinho. They tried for Benton Core, but he's obviously gone.
Luca Digne,
because they had a falling out with Rafa Benitez, and then they randomly sacked him. Did they sign another striker, or did they try for another striker?
They tried for Luis Suarez, didn't they?
Yes, that was it. They tried for another one as well, but I can't remember it where. But Steven Gerrard and Villa, on the face of things, the media like to hype up a British manager, and they've hyped him up quite highly. And Gerrard
already loved, didn't he?
Since he's gone there, But looking at the previous 3 games before playing us, they got beat by the Scummers in the FA Cup 1-0. They drew with the Scummers in the Premier League 2-2, and they beat an average Everton side just 1-0 on the 22nd of January before coming out and playing us on the 9th of Feb. What do you make of that game?
And before those games as well, they also lost to Brentford and Chelsea.
Yeah.
So I know people have said that he's done a good job of coming in, but it's been a bit checkered.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
He's won 5. He's beat Brighton, Palace, Leicester, Norwich, and Everton. He's lost the games that you'd expect him to lose: City, Liverpool, Chelsea. You shouldn't lose to Brentford.
No.
It's not. I honestly thought when I was logging on earlier to have a look at those results, I thought they'd done a better job since he'd come in.
No,
that's the media, though, isn't it? That's the media, though.
Yeah. I think it'll be a tough game. There's no doubt about it.
I don't think it'll be
some quality in that side. Coutinho, I know he's had injury problems. Buendia's not been amazing, but he's got it out of the bag. Danny Ings knows where the goal is. Watkins knows where the goal is. They've got the lad who came through and did really well. And then he struggled a bit again. I can't remember his name now.
Ramsey.
No. Yeah, he's been playing a bit though, Ramsey, hasn't he? No, can't remember. It'll come back to me in a bit. Be a tough game down at Villa Park.
Solid keeper in net as well, Martinez.
Solid keeper, Martinez. Although he made a grave error in his last outing, I think, against Scummers. Didn't he make a mistake in Scummers? Or chucked one in? I can't remember. Anyway, one of them. Yeah. They'll merge into one at the moment. But it'll be an interesting game. It'll be a good game, and it's a good opportunity for us to put a marker down. Now the window's shut. Now we're in February. Let's put a marker down and keep pushing away from that relegation zone. Well, it's a big moment in Talking Shit. We put this right up there with promotion, getting pissed on the internet, with welcoming Eddie Gray to our podcast, having Adam Forshaw, Jamie Shackleton. It's the return of Raggy's Predictor.
Raggy's Predictor.
We've been very poor with Raggy's Predictor because of the absence of Raggy.
Yeah, don't ask me how things have gone, especially.
We said we were starting a clean slate because our bottom.
Not starting a clean slate. I'll dig the spreadsheet out. But we'll start in terms of anything that's gone before that I wasn't involved in. We won't count any of those.
Yes.
So I'll dig the spreadsheet out at some point. Can't give you an update right now. But we'll start a kind of a clean slate in terms of predictions this week. So obviously Villa away. Wednesday next week. I don't know who to start with. I'll start with you, Gary, because you're always going to, especially away games. You always seem to get a ticket, which is very unfortunate for everyone else who tries for them as well. So, what do you think it'll be?
Yeah, after I got dug out on social media, may I just add that I just entered the ballot like everybody else, and I have only made sort of like 9 games this year. People need to stop hammering me about the fact that I get to games. But anyway, Villa away, tough game. Myself and my lad are going. Looking forward to it. I've really got the bug for away games this year. I'm really quite enjoying it, and I'm really delaying now to really think about what I'm thinking. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leeds victory.
Well, in the comments, I also see Ben Tomlinson also says 2-1 Leeds.
But
so,
the thing is, Raggy, he's been saying 2-1 for about 6 months since you were missing. So
he says
I
it
can't
every
really
game.
take any credence in that, to be honest.
Mike.
God damn.
Well, Mike, if you were watching game, you'd have a better idea.
3-1 Leeds. 3-1 Leeds.
3-1 Leeds, mate. You're going 3-1 Leeds. Nice.
Yeah. I can't. 2-1's fine. A win is absolutely brilliant, but
what are you going, Rags? That's interesting.
I'm going one apiece. Going for a draw.
I'll take that.
One apiece.
Take a draw. Anything but a defeat. I'll take that. Anything but a defeat. A few going back. Yeah, Ben Tomlinson says, my scores are easy. Go back on the previous weeks. Always 2-1. Stuart Charleston says he'll take a draw now. I agree. Robert Mason says a 2-2 draw. Desmond, in memory of
Rest
Desmond.
in peace.
Rest in peace, Desmond.
So
yeah, we'll have to wait on that. Get your other comments in terms of what you think. I've ever been to Villa Park. I don't think I've been to Villa Park. I'm looking forward to it. Any of you boys been to Villa Park?
I've been to Villa Park years and years ago, but we were in the home end. Could only get tickets in the home end. I went with my dad, and I was only young. And I said to Dad, "What happens if Leeds score?" And he's like, "Just sit on your hands, don't say anything."
Yeah.
And Ian Hart scored. I think it was a free kick, and me and my dad both shot up, started cheering, and everyone around us also did. We were like surrounded by Leeds fans. It was absolutely brilliant. In fact, there were some Villa fans kind of like realised that we're just absolutely surrounded by Leeds fans. They had to get up and move, and we were giving them all gyps saying, "Oh, you wouldn't have been able to do that Ellen Road because there wouldn't have been any spare seats and all this." It was in the FA Cup. We lost. And then when we came out, we nearly got filled in by all the Leeds fans coming out, thinking we were all Villa fans because we were coming out the home end. So, yeah, it was quite the away day. It was good laugh, though.
But before we get on to Shithouse of the Week, which is a good one this week, Kian Ferris comments here. Hi, guys. And I want to get your guys' feelings. What's your thoughts on the current ticket dilemma for home games? I'm from Ireland, and I'm a lifelong fan. But due to COVID, etc., have yet to get over for a game. And when restrictions were lifted, I was bursting out my skin for the scum game. Stupidity booked flights and accommodation. But then when they went on sale, I failed miserably like so many others trying to secure a ticket. I was gutted, and it makes you think, what's the point in purchasing a membership if you're unlikely to get a ticket? Rags, obviously you're a season ticket holder. This doesn't really affect you. But I can only, at this point, comment from my own personal position. And my own personal position is this. I've followed Leeds a long time, as many games as I could get to, but always by the membership scheme. And purely because of my day job, I used to work 2 days, 2 nights, 4 off. So as you can tell, that doesn't really lend itself greatly to a season ticket because I would miss sort of 2 of the 4 home games. So I never did it. I always managed to succeed, even in the -15 season, the Cellino years, the Bates years, all them. I always managed to succeed in getting a ticket because obviously nobody wanted to watch us then because we were shit, basically.
Yeah, I remember when you could go to the game and pay on the day, and you know, it's they should have capped. We said at the start of the season they should have capped the memberships. They should have stopped, but they didn't, and this is where we are. It's
And that's it. It's incredibly disappointing for fans who've been going for years not to be able to get a ticket. But ultimately, for me, the blame rests at the club's door. They tried to take too many memberships in, far too many memberships. And really, the membership's totally devalued where it doesn't even really give you a great chance of getting a ticket without having 6 devices all on the tickets waiting to try and get one. And yeah, it is mega disappointing, and I can sense the frustration in it. And I'm frustrated to kick myself every day that I didn't get an half-season ticket when I could have got one. But do you know what? I have to live and die by the sword that I didn't get one.
Yeah.
So if I get a ticket, fantastic. If I don't get a ticket, then I'm one of the group of many people frustrated at not getting a ticket. But yeah, I do appreciate people's frustration. But ultimately, again, for me, the blame rests at the club's door in what appeared to be quite a selfish money-grabbing scheme to just give loads of memberships. I know they came out after and said memberships are not all about getting tickets and all that, but to Leeds fans, it is mostly about
it is. Yeah,
but it is. I mean, there is a way around it. I mentioned it in the past when we talked about this. If you want to maximise revenue, which is obviously keeping your tickets, you're keeping your memberships uncapped, which is what they've done, is you put in a guarantee. You guaranteed a ticket. Now, you're not guaranteed what game it's going to be.
Yeah.
But that is part of the benefits of it. You will guarantee that at once, because right now there is no guarantee. You could pay your membership. How much is it, Gaz? 60 quid?
50, yeah. For me and my lad, it worth 50 quid for me, and I think 20 quid for him.
So you could technically pay that at the beginning of the season and be unsuccessful on every ballot.
Yeah.
There is that danger. So, and especially for obviously fans like Keenan, and I hope I pronounced that right, who's coming over from Ireland. We have got a lot of people, and they've stayed loyal to the club. Coming from the likes of Ireland, Scandinavia, and everything like that, maybe can't afford or can't commit to a season ticket. It would be great if you could turn around. Now, it's never going to be perfect because there's going to be certain members who are going to be then get awarded the Scum game or the Liverpool game. There's going to be certain ones who get bloody Watford, but at least you're guaranteed that. And I'm sure there's a mechanism round that you could do that. And obviously, depending on the number of tickets that are sold, and you could cap it off and say, right, you either get 1 or 2. If you can't make it, it's the exact same. Well, you just have to surrender it. You won't get charged for it. It goes back into the pot that somebody else in the ballot can go for it. But that's one way of doing it. And then at least your membership, at the beginning of the day, right, I'm going to have a fair shot at all the games, all the home games, but I'll definitely get to a go to at least one. And that is one way of doing it.
It is frustrating, and I do share Kian's. Sorry for killed your name, mate. I do share their frustrations, but
when you go on the, I mean, you can buy a membership right now. That's the thing. If you go on there, the first thing of the My Leeds Plus membership is priority access to purchase home and away tickets.
Yeah. And the thing is, mate, as well, it just shows again a hint of greed. The fact that you can still buy membership now. So like so frustrations is you could get an away fan, say for example, a Scum fan who buys a membership, has money to burn, obviously, buys a membership and gets a ticket ahead of fans like Ian.
Well, we've seen it. Ticket touts. That's
mate, in the Newcastle game, there was a couple of ticket touts outside the game trying to flog tickets, which it just stinks for me.
It is.
I don't agree with it, to be honest, but
the club, if they had any intention of stopping it, they could have stopped it now, and they still haven't. I understand them uncapping it when the capacity got increased, or 2 or 3 years down the line. But the whole thing stinks. But we just got to live by it, And the way I missed out, I'm a member. I missed out on the Man United tickets, but I just see it as it's an extra 40 quid in my pocket, that I can spend on something else or keep for the next game. Leeds United aren't going anywhere, and it's not worth. For me, it's not worth falling out with other Leeds fans over it. We know that the ones that go will represent us well, being good voice. That's all that matters, really. And obviously the result. But
yeah, absolutely. Kian, drop me a friend request on Facebook, and if I hear of any available tickets, I will try and pass them your way. Anyway, let's move on and get a bit of this. Shithouse of the week. The Shithouse of the Week segment, where we nominate people who have annoyed us or just general shithouses in the week preceding this show. This week's just a simple one of 3 nominations. COVID-19 obviously continues to hang around. It's took away our Ben from us this evening due to the fact they got that. The second nomination is at Football Joe on Twitter, who have today released 11 of the worst Premier League players. Adam Forshaw's in it.
What?
Adam Forshaw's in it.
The worst of this season.
Adam Forshaw
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Wow. That it is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that they think, from whatever reasons, probably I would say appearances or something along them lines, that Adam Forshaw.
Well, clearly they've not watched, have they? They've clearly not watched.
They haven't watched anything.
Let me give you the rest of the worst 11.
Have they gone?
Worst rated 11.
He's a midfielder and he's got no goals and no assists. So
in goal, you've got Timothy Krul, left back.
All day long, Krul. Yeah, he's a twat.
Yeah, dickhead. Yeah, this could be the Shithouse 11 minus a few. Over on the left, Romain Perraud, much linked to Leeds United. At centre half, you've got Truce Eskong from Watford. Alongside Kieran Clark, and then you've got Rosalev. I'm guessing he's from Brentford at right back. Midfield 2 of Forshaw and Baptiste. Absolutely ridiculous.
Criminal.
Forshaw's in there.
Yeah.
In the 10, Tyler Roberts. Left wing Ryan Fraser. Right side Josh Sargent of Norwich, and leading the line Timo Werner from Chelsea. Now, I can't argue with a few of them, but I would definitely take
a 60 million striker.
I'd definitely take great exception to Adam Forshaw being there. And basically, this is how they've worked it out, and this is why Football Joe are the shithouses, or nominated at least. They've gone on an average rating for a minimum of 5 games by WhoScored.com. Now we use WhoScored.com for a tongue-in-cheek piss take. Yeah. That kind of says it all for me. So they're definitely going in there for that reason, and that reason only. In other nominations, and one that's been much talked about in the media, and I'm going to keep it very brief and very short about this comment, but Mason Greenwood, superstar footballer, doesn't give you right to be a massive fucking cretin.
One word from me, cunt. Move on.
Yeah. Scum. Scum in name, scum in nature.
So, lads, we've got 3 nominations this week. We've got Football Joe.
Can I throw in winter break as well? I'm fed. I need some football. I need some football. I went to me and young Ben, formerly of this parish. Went to a gig on Saturday night. Ended up staying over because it was over in Manchester. Bit worse for wear. Sunday was driving back over the Pennines. And I turned around to him and went, I would just absolutely love a double Super Sunday right now. Home, sofa, and just veg out in front of some Premier League football. Nothing. And nothing this weekend now. It's fucking crap.
Yeah. I took in Barnsley Bournemouth last weekend. That was terrible.
I watched USA v Canada last night. That's how desperate I was. But it was funny because Canada won. Pulisic was fuming. So it was,
Yeah, but I would imagine that one stings a bit, America-Canada.
We watched it. We naturally watched it for Aronson, and he got took off. He had a quiet game, got taken off. So must have been somewhat.
I, for one, in only an appeal to build bridges, I'm glad that Canada won. That's all I'm going to say.
well done, Rags. After literally got hated by an entire nation for upsetting.
In a very, in a pure sense of diplomacy, I'm very pleased for Canada.
Well, to be fair, we've had a bad run with nations here. Raggy upset Canada. Young Ben upset the all of America pretty much by saying that they can't make tea. To which we got some very angry YouTube comments saying they're never listening to this podcast ever again. That's what we got. So it was brutal. So who's going to win it this week, then, lads? The winter break. Football Joe for picking on Forshaw. I'm not going to include Mason Greenwood because he should win it 100% for his actions and what he did. So I don't want to devalue the bad things that he's done. So we're going to elude him from it, but I felt like he needed a chat.
I think football Joe is pure shithousery.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like,
just like do your own research. I mean, they have their own resources. They're a pretty big fucking brand or institution.
Mate, they've got 417,000 followers.
Yeah, do your research.
Followers.
Also, who's doing the average? Who's doing the player ratings for whoscored.com for Adam Forshaw as well? Because I couldn't even tell you he's had a bad game for.
No, exactly.
He came back. Yeah, he's not once put in a stinking performance at all. In fact, some of the games he's come back since he was arguably been man of the match. So how is his average rating so fucking low?
Yeah, it's a good point, mate. It's a good point. So we're getting to them then. Sports Joe win this week's Shithouse of the Week award. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end of episode 179 of the Talking Shit podcast. It's been a real pleasure again to meet up with Mike sat in the East Stand and Raggy in the wardrobe. Obviously no Ben this week. Next week's show maybe at a slightly different time because obviously we play Villa on the Wednesday evening. So not sure when we would move that around a little bit. Also, Kieran says, perfect pronunciation of the name, Raggy. Keep up the great work.
So it's not Kieran, then it's Keenan.
Keenan, yeah. Kieran. Anyway, so we didn't slaughter his name. But big thanks to everybody who has tuned in. Big thanks to Terrace, continuing supporters. And all the other stuff, thanks to all Leeds Aren't We Facebook group for supporting us. And I just want to give a shout out to a fan I saw on social media who's battling pancreatic cancer. I think his name's Ads. I've seen a few posts of players giving him best wishes, and obviously us at Talking Shit, we like to stay and do, give props to people. So, mate, there's a saying goes, keep fighting, keep battling on. The Leeds fan base will be entirely behind you, and wish you all the best. And fair play to the players taking time out to send him a message as well. So, brings us to episode 179. Thanks very much for tuning in. If you are listening to back on this on a podcast, please share it to other people and stuff. We have had a bit of an upturn recently, which is very nice because we are in our 4.5 years, I think we've been going now, something like that. So it's always nice to see that people still actually give a flying hoot about this stuff. So, big thanks. Hopefully we'll see Ben back soon, and I'll sit there.
Sit there.
Sit there.